Good morning. This is Sakis Paraskevov, Senior Fundamental Analyst at IronFX Global, bringing you the morning comment for the 10th of February. Markets await for Yellen's testimony. Fed Chair Janet Yellen will take center stage today as she delivers the semi-annual Humphrey Hawkins testimony on monetary policy before the Congress. She will repeat the testimony to the Senate the following day. Yellen's comments will be closely monitored for fresh guidance on the Fed's near-term plans. A lot has changed since the Fed raised rates in December, with renewed uncertainty about the global economic outlook and unrest in financial markets. Earlier last week, Fed officials Fisher and Dudley stated that the FOMC would consider the impact of international developments on the U.S. economy before deciding on interest rates. Based on these comments, the market scaled back its expectations for a March action. We believe that Fed Chair Yellen will acknowledge increased risk from abroad, but we also believe that she will also sound confident on the domestic economy in order to leave the option for further hikes this year on the table. She could emphasize the positives of the U.S. economy, especially the continued strength in the job market. Although she will try to keep a balanced stance, we believe that she may be backed into a corner in the Q&A session in order to give further hints on whether March is still in play. Any comments that wipe out the surviving hopes for a March hike could bring the greenback under further selling interest. Overnight, the Nikkei extended yesterday's closes and declined further amid concerns over the solvency of European banks and the stability of the global banking sector. The carnage in equities has led to increased demand for the Japanese currency, which held onto its recent gains to trade near 114 against its US counterpart. If we see the yen's strength persist given the risk-off environment, the Bank of Japan and government officials could come under increased pressure to depreciate the currency, as it could weaken the inflation outlook and the competitiveness of the Japanese firms. We expect this to happen though verbally interaction rather than currency intervention or policy changes, at least initially. If so, we could see the Japanese yen losing some of its recent steam, but should the global risk aversion persist, the demand for the safe haven asset should remain intact. As for today's indicators, from the Eurozone we get the French industrial production for December, and the forecast is for a minor rise following a fall in November. In Norway, the CPI rate for January is expected to have hit the Norges Bank target of 2.5% year-on-year from 2.3% previously. Norway's inflation remains higher than other European or major economies, while the rise in the prices is attributed to the weakness in Norwegian krone during last year. Even though the krone entered 2016 on a strong note, the effects of last year's tumble could continue to drive inflation higher in the next few months. A possible rise in the nation's inflation rate could strengthen the krone, at least at the release. From the UK, we get industrial production for December, and expectations are for the figure to have fallen again, but at a slower pace than the previous month. This will be an additional piece of information on how the British economy performed in Q4. In its calculations for the nation's first estimate of Q4 GDP, the ONS reported that industrial production declined 0.2% in December, although the overall output had accelerated somewhat. A more than expected decline in today's figure could raise some concerns for a downside revision in the second estimate of GDP, which comes out on the 25th of this month. Besides Fed Chair Yellen, we have two more speakers on the agenda: San Francisco Fed President John Williams and ECB Executive Board member Peter Pride speak during the day. For more information, including technical analysis, please read the full comment on IronFX.com or download our app and get all the information you need to trade delivered directly to you. And also, follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube channel, or circle us on Google Plus to get more trading ideas. This is Sakis Paraskevov, Senior Fundamental Analyst at IronFX Global, wishing you solid trading.